GarageBand Weekly, GarageBand Weekly. Ooh. Need an answer to your question, John, you'll have a suggestion. Seems to bouncing up on knowledge. I think he might have gone to GarageBand College. What he doesn't know, we'll try and find out. So join the chats and give him a shout. Hey, John. Hey, John. GarageBand Weekly.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That's better. Welcome to GarageBand Weekly. My name is Pete Johns, and on this week's show, we'll be talking about iPad OS 16.5.1. Have they finally fixed all the USB connection issues? Maybe. I've got a new single that I created last week on the show and released, which I'll tell you about. And our feature topic this week is your questions. Yeah. So join the questions, join the Q&A session here. If you've got any questions, throw them my way. And if there's no questions, or if the questions are light on, don't worry, because we're going to be creating some music as well. Yeah, we're going to be practical. I'm going to give you some tips about creating a rock song in GarageBand. I'm going back to my roots, and we're going to create some rock. You can tell the guitar's there, ready to rock and roll. All righty, if it's If it's your first time here on GarageBand Weekly, there's a one-stop shop that you can go to, and that is my GarageBand FAQ, studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand. That's going to give you all of the stuff, all of my videos, all my playlists. I've been doing this for 7 years now, so I've got over 2,000 videos about GarageBand and creating on your iPad and your iPhone. So there's something there for everyone. So I'm sure you'll be able to find something that's going to help you and your creations. Hello to the folks who are here live. Hello to the folks who are here on the replay. Let's say g'day. Hello to Future Phoenix. Has a question, but it's Logic on iPad. We can stretch to Logic. I did think we probably have to call this Apple Mobile Music Creation Weekly, but it just doesn't have the same twang to it. Hello to Thomas Christ. G'day, Dark Lula. Hello, Al Davis. Thank you for being here. G'day to Jade Star. Hello, Mark Bro. If you're joining us later on in the show, or if you're watching on the replay, don't worry. You can still ask your questions. I hang out down in the comments. Did you know I have not answered a comment in the entire lifespan of Studio Live Today? Not intentionally. I've probably missed some here and there, but I kind of pride myself. I'm a little bit obsessive about answering people's comments. So if you put a comment on a video, I spend about an hour a day just answering comments because I care. No, because I get the best ideas. I get great tips. I get great ideas. And a lot of the videos that I make come out of what I actually ask, what people comment on, and what people ask here on the channel. Hello, John. G'day to you as well. G'day, Brad. Example. I hope you are good today. I've tagged your question, Al, and if anyone else has any questions, go ahead and put a big chunky Q in front of your question. That way I'll be able to tag it, and when we get into the Q&A section, I'll answer any questions you may have. All right, news and notes. So number one is that Apple have finally launched a new iOS and iPadOS update in 16.5.1. Now, if you are having problems with your Apple Lightning to USB 3 adapter, here's the problem that people were having. If you were using the genuine one, you were finding that when you plugged your thing in, the additional charging port was disabled. So you couldn't charge your iPad while connecting it to a device. Now, you can work around this by using a powered USB hub or not worrying about charging your iPad, but it's going to go flat pretty quickly. So people were a little peeved. Now, that's not to be confused with the issue that happens often when Apple update their iPadOS and iOS, which is that the third-party adapters stop working. I've been saying for about as long as I've had this channel that if you want a reliable connection for your iPad or your iPhone and you've got a Lightning-based model, use a genuine Apple Lightning to USB 3 adapter. That's it. End of. I know they're $40 or $65 if you're here in Australia, but you buy them once, they're MFI certified, they have a chip in them, which means every time Apple update their iOS, you are not going to get your device bricked. If you're using a third-party adapter, there is a high likelihood that your device will no longer work when you update, because that's just the way it is. You can complain about it. You can say that Apple are cornering the market. You can say they should be using USB-C, which they kind of are now, so they're moving towards that. All of that is correct. Doesn't change the fact that if you want a working device, you need to follow that simple plan. There's also security issues, as Jade Star has mentioned here. In fact, let's jump on over to the screen. So if you didn't know, you can actually go to the Apple support page. If you want to know what's new with all the updates, you can actually see the support page here. So you can see there was all the 16.5 updates that fixed a lot of things that also broke, that broke some of the connection things. And you can see here, this is important security fixes recommended for all users. It also fixes an issue that prevents charging with the Lightning to USB 3 camera adapter. So Apple have actually admitted it. They've come out and said, yes, we know it was a problem. You had to deal with it for a couple of weeks. We've fixed it now. You're all good. And there's all the 16.5. And if you want to get into the nerdy, weedy details, you can click on that one and that will tell you about all the security updates that are available. There you go. You can see all the different security updates and release dates over time. So here's the security updates that we've got in recent times. There's a lot of things there for your iOS, iPadOS, and even your macOS. So there's little reason to not update right now that I've seen, unless you're a couple of... here's the thing. If you're in the middle of a major project and you may be a couple of updates behind, there's not any like super serial zero-day attack kind of things going on here, but it is always best to have the latest version of the iPadOS or iOS for security. For compatibility, it's not always the best. So it depends. Where do you want to hedge yourself? Do you want to? Are you smart enough that you're not going to go down and click the monkey and go and make yourself vulnerable to viruses and to malware and to spyware and all the rest of it? Or do you want that stability of your software working? Because who knows, when you update to iOS 16.5.1, there may be some AUV3 plugin that you absolutely rely on that the developer hasn't updated to be compatible. You just never know. So I say all that to say, go and update. I've done it now. I've updated on my iPad. I've updated on my iPhone. We're all good to go. We've got iPadOS and iOS 16.5.1. The other more exciting news, is that my new single comes out tomorrow. So if you're watching the show over the last 2 weeks, that's the wrong screen. You will have known that we created this. We created a song called Boom Boom. From my alter ego band called Righty Doki. We created it using live loops, which is way out of my comfort zone, and we created it using the new 8-Bit Legends chiptune pack. It was a heap of fun. Like I said, I was way out of my comfort zone. Some things didn't work, some things worked. In the end, it came together, and it was pretty cool. You can jump on over right now. Here, I'm gonna throw this link. It's already down there in the description. I'm gonna throw it here in the chat right now. You can go there. You can actually use this one if you're a Spotify user. Pre-save it. That way, it'll pop up as soon as it's released tomorrow, and you can stream it there. Or you know what? Because I'm a bit weird, I've already got the full version available right here on YouTube. You can play it right there from the page. So it's a lot of fun. I like it. I think that I learned a lot making this song. I've never made a song like this before, and I learned a lot. We played around with the FX, which I don't use very often. We played around with live loops, which I never use. So it was helpful for me, and hopefully you'll find it enjoyable. There's also a couple of videos there, how I made the song. So that was 2 weeks ago's episode, and then how I actually released it. Because I released it with the DistroKid mobile app for the very first time, and it was super simple. Nothing went wrong, and I did it live on last week's show. So for those that were watching, you would have seen that it all worked pretty seamlessly in the end. The only problem that we had was user error, and that was caused by the fact that I didn't have album artwork ready. So we whipped up that album artwork in a flash in Canva, which I still use despite the fact that I just got the news from Canva that they're removing me from their Canva affiliate program, which is fair enough because you're supposed to create at least one piece of content per month related to Canva. Now, I don't create one piece of content per month, but every single time I create an album artwork, a thumbnail, or I mention graphic design, I mention Canva. So I was hoping I was enough of a brand advocate that they'd keep me on board, but alas, I'm back to paying $10 a month and not able to refer folks, not able to be an affiliate of Canva. But I still love you, Canva. Don't worry. It's a what is it? What did Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin have? A mutually agreeable separation, something like that. Hello, other folks who've joined us. G'day to Ashley HM. G'day to Princess LDG. Thank you for being here. G'day to the Mix Club. And did I see anyone else? I thought I saw someone. No, that was me. Hello to me. I'm here. I'm here commenting. So yeah, go check out my song. It was a lot of fun to make, and hopefully watching it, you at least had a chuckle, or maybe even learned a little tip or two that might have helped you along the way. Let's dive in and answer some questions to get started. Once again, if you do have questions, there's a really simple thing you can do is just put the big Q or the word question right in front of your comment. I will tag them and I'll answer them. And instead of it just being Q&A, we're going to mix it in with some creating as well, because I'm playing around in GarageBand. I'm feeling a bit rocky today. A conscious uncoupling. There you go. Canva and Pete Johns would like to announce that they are consciously uncoupling today. Tony Howie, g'day to you. Hope you're well, mate. G'day, Timothy. At work. Well, this is more fun than work. Just that's the thing. Just put a spreadsheet on and then just have this sitting behind, and no one will be the wiser. Let's answer some questions. Al Davis, is there a way to apply one effect to multiple channels on GarageBand iOS? So short answer is no. So unlike Logic Pro, this is one of the big advantages. And look, we can't really talk about GarageBand without doing Logic Pro comparisons these days. It's just the way it is. It's just where we're at in the timeline of where things are. But the difference is that here in GarageBand, you can only use what are called inline effects. So there are no aux sends. There's no ability to send the sound out and use a separate aux channel to control an effect. And there's also no way to automate an effect. So the only variations on that are your master effects. So you'll see that when you come in here to GarageBand and you're on any of your tracks, if you go to the plugins and EQ setting here and you go down here, you've got these master effects. So you can come in here and dial in one reverb, so one echo, one delay. So I normally go with something like a quarter note because that's what I use the most, and one type of reverb. So like, let's just go like a large hall reverb. And then you can apply a small amount of those across all of your tracks. And this is actually a really good way to glue. I use this a lot to glue your tracks together. Now, the difference is when you export this and bring it over to Logic Pro, what it'll do is it'll create two auxiliary tracks, aux tracks, one for your delay and one for your reverb. And then it will send a little bit of each of those. However much you set here, that's how much it'll send over to those tracks. So you can kind of do it, but let's say you wanted a flanger and you wanted a little flange on a bunch of different guitars and you wanted this exact same flange, you'd need to dial that in separately. You'd need to set up, say, 4 guitar tracks and then dial that flange in. The other thing you can do, though, is if you say you've got this guitar track here and you wanted to create exactly the same effects on another track, you can duplicate. So if you tap on the track icon there and you go duplicate, that will duplicate out, including all of those settings. So you'll see that here, that this has got all the same settings as that one does. And if we go into the plugins and EQ, it's going to have the exact same plugins, EQ, compression setting, noise gate setting, everything's going to be exactly the same. So sort of, but not really is the answer. So that is something that Logic Pro does make a lot easier, is setting up reverb buses, setting up auxiliary sends for your effects. So hopefully that helps answer that question. A question from Future Phoenix says, can you save and load channel strip presets in Logic Pro iPad? You can. There are the ability to save your own custom presets. If we come over here, here's Logic Pro for iPad that I prepared earlier. So you can actually save in your plugin presets. It's so funny. Every time I open Logic Pro, I feel like a little bit out of my depths. It's not quite the same as my knowledge of GarageBand. But guess what? I've been using Logic Pro for 1 month. I've been using GarageBand for 7 years. So there's your difference. So I've just got to remember how you do this. I believe it's here in your edits. Let's just come out of here. Let's come over to your browser. I think you do it in your browser settings. So here is, say, if we come out here, we go to our plugin presets. So if we select the plugin, there's all the standard presets that you have there. If you dial in your own, you can actually save in your preset, and I've just got to remember how to do that. So the short answer is yes, you can copy and you can reset the whole channel strip. And there is a way that you can actually save it. It's not coming to my head right now. This is why I don't have a Logic Pro Weekly show yet. Because, yeah, someone in the chat or someone watching on the replay is definitely going to be able to help you with this. I definitely found it because I've created my own custom presets and you can definitely save them in there. And I have done it before. I just can't remember right now because it's not quite intuitive for me, which is the thing. You know what we can do? Let's come in here And let's go to the Logic Pro help, because this is where I would send you to go and do this if you were looking for something like this. Now, there's not the greatest search in here, but if we come into the table of contents and we come down to working with plugins, Logic Pro effects, is that going to be it, or is it going to be the plugins section? Effect plugins overview, filter effects, utilities and tools. There would be a section in here for saving your own plugins, but it's obviously in a different section. Find a new sound, arranging, recording, it'll be mixing, working with plugins. That's the section we wanted. Let's go to the working with plugins section. Let's learn on the fly. Working with plugins, add, replace, reorder, remove plugins. Yeah, so there's got to be somewhere, work with plugins and details view. There's got to be somewhere where it actually tells you how to do it. I will come back to that. Someone's probably already answered it in the chat, but I will come back to that one at a later stage and provide it. And the good thing is, Future Phoenix, is that it's folks like you that ask questions like that in shows like this. I now tag this because that's obviously something that people want to do, is to be able to save their own custom plugin presets and save their own custom effects chains. And guess what? That'll be a video. You'll see that pop out as a tip video in the next week, because if you need to know it, I'll eventually need to know it, and we all need to know it. So we'll be able to find that. Has someone answered it for you here? I'm sure they probably have. I'll just drop out here and see if we've got there. We've got Interapp Audio. Yeah, so Interapp Audio. Yeah, I did joke with Jade when she said she'd put a video out about how to use Interapp Audio, because as you know, well, as you may not know, Interapp Audio is another type of plugin or effect that you can use with iPad and iPhone. It's being deprecated. They mentioned like 4 iOS updates ago that it's being deprecated, which means you'll no longer be able to use it in the future. So most plugin manufacturers and developers have realized that. They've seen the writing on the wall, and they've converted their apps to a UV3, the audio unit plugin format. If you have plugins that are still IAA, Interapp Audio, that your life depends on you using, then yeah, Jade has found a way to do that. So you can go check that out. I did joke with Jade that people won't like that, because they want to be unhappy. They want to be grumpy about their things not working, and now they don't have any excuse. They can't be grumpy anymore. Yes, exactly. Apple they've killed it, and they definitely won't be adding it to any new things, which makes me frown at Korg. Yeah, Korg are one of the folks who are not probably doing the most moving into the new world. At least they're not like Positive Grid, who just threw their hands in the air and walked away. Yeah, how do you feel now, Positive Grid? You're like, nah, we'll remove Final Touch. You know what would be great? Final Touch would be a great mastering app to use for all the people who are subscribing to Logic Pro for iPad and want to use a mastering app separate from that. Except they decided to walk away. So, yeah, Positive Grid, -1 in my book. But I don't. Again, it's their choice, and it's your choice of what you use. And if you use things, that's the way it is. And that's the thing. Life wasn't meant to be easy. There's a certain, as much as I love ease of use, there's a certain part of me, and there's a certain part of people that you kind of need to put a little barrier. It's like if you were hiring someone, and someone went to that little bit of extra effort, like if you had a job opening, the reason that you need people to write a cover letter that's appropriate to the job, to have a resume, is less about you knowing about that person and about exactly what they can do, and more about the fact that if there's 100 people that want to apply and only 10 people can be asked to get off their bum and actually write a decent cover letter that addresses your actual job, they're the people you're going to hire. As someone who's hired hundreds of people in my former career, yeah, that's the number one tip I have, is do not use a standard cover letter for every job. You will not get the job, because hiring managers like me see that. We see the same thing. We can sniff out the generic letters from a mile away. And also in 2023, don't get ChatGPT to write it. It probably won't sound right. And again, we'll do the same thing. If a hiring manager is smart, they've already write a cover letter for this position description into ChatGPT and know exactly what it's going to spit out. Exactly. I'm glad you said this, Future Phoenix, that Apple guitar amps and pedals are decent, because guess what? That's what we're going to be using. Yeah. We're going to be using the standard GarageBand amp sims to create ourselves a rock track. Let's dive in and do that now, shall we? And once again, if you do have any other questions as we go ahead and do this, I'll keep an eye on the chat and I'll answer any questions as we go on through. So let's jump over here to the iPad. Now, What have I created here? I did cheat a little bit. I got a little bit of a beat going on here, and I actually used a technique I'll show you in a minute to do that. So I created a drummer track, which is sounding like this, more like this. So how did I get this drummer track? I actually used the drummer follow hack. So because I wanted this kind of off the beat, like if you listen to the metronome here, you'll notice that my kick drum, my bass drum, is a little off. It's not hitting on the one beat. I wanted to create a bit more of a custom kind of sound. So you can hear there that it's got that so it's just a little bit is that syncopation, something like that. So here's the what we've done. Here's how we've actually done that. I've actually created my own drum track here, and I've just dialed in what I wanted it to sound like. So here is the drum track that I played in quite poorly. So let's recreate this. Let's show you how I did this, and it'll make more sense. So I'll create a brand new one. Let's just mute out all of these because I want to keep them in case I want to come back to these afterwards. I actually want this to be a little bit faster, I've realized. So I'm going to go here to my tempo, and we're going to bump this up, I reckon, around 124. So we get a little bit more of a... Yeah. So what we can do is create a drum track. Now, here's the tip, and this is the tip video I'm working on that's going to come out tomorrow for GarageBand. I haven't done a GarageBand tip in forever. What you could do, like the acoustic drummer, the drummer sounds here are fine. But, you know, if you've used Kyle, if you've used Anders, if you've used Mason, they all sound a little bit the same. They've all got the same patterns, and a lot of people are using the same things. But what you can do is you can actually dial in your own sound and then get the drummer to kind of fill in the gaps, add the ghost notes, add the change ups, but you can actually decide what you want the basic sound to be. So all we need to do is hit the record button here. Oh, you know what I've got? Turn that off. The other thing I would suggest here is go to your velocity sensitivity before you're doing this, because I find that when I'm tapping, I don't like having that velocity sensitivity. The drummer will sort that out, but sometimes you tap and it doesn't quite work. So let's go 2, 3, 4. Oh, I've hit the wrong one in the wrong order. So let's go. And then I didn't remove the old one. One more time with feeling. 2, 3, 4. So we've created 4 bars of the drum pattern that we want to use there. What we can now do, if we jump back out of there, we can create a drummer track, but tell the drummer to actually follow this one. So if we hit the plus there, we're going to go over to the drummer. And if you don't know, the drummer follow feature, an acoustic drummer, the drummer follow feature is really good for following your bass or your guitar, because it'll use that, it'll analyze that, and then it'll make your drums match your bass or whatever it is. But if you're starting with drums, why not just play in your own drums and then let it do all the cymbals and all the fills and all the funky stuff for you? So we've added Kyle here. We've got our 8 bars of Kyle, and we'll just loop out this one all the way. So that goes all the way through. And Kyle, as it starts, so here's our sound. This is the sound we've recorded. So there's our drums. Here's what the auto drummer has decided it wants to be. Completely different, right? But what if we want to make this sound more like our drum? Well, all we need to do is tap this follow button down the bottom. And what we're going to follow is that drummer that we've just created. So this SoCal, this drum right here, that's the drum just above here. And now when we play it back, and look, it's not perfect because it hasn't weighted on that first one. But what you can do is you can then use your simple complex to move that around and it'll give you different iterations. So if you want a really simplified version of what you've created there, it's going to give you this. Which is pretty cool. That might be something that I throw in like as an intro. And then if you want something really intense for later on, you can complex it up and it's going to give you something like this. So it's filling in the gaps, but it's still using the same kind of vibe, because what I actually want is something that's going to sound good with the little guitar riff that I've just developed, which is this one here. Now that's obviously a bit slower because we've upped the tempo, but I just wanted to leave it there so I remembered what I actually played in. So let's just find this Kyle and see what we want to do with him. So well, a little bit less loud because you're getting too much of that snappy sound on the snare. That's pretty good. I reckon it's actually a little bit too fast now. So I'm actually going to drop it down to maybe 118. So it's still got a bit more of that swagger going along with it. So that's just a cool little cheat hack way that if you've got a drum sound that you want and you want to record, you want to get the drummer to do its thing, just play along. And you can change. The cool thing about this is I've just looped it out there. We could change this up. If you removed this, if you got to like a bridge or something, you could just play in what you want the bridge to sound like, and then it will sound like that. It will keep following that same track for as long as you want it to. So let's record my little riff idea in here, because you could hear there that I recorded it there with the Brownstone guitar amp sim, and we're going to use that one again. So to add a guitar, we hit the plus button, we slide across to our amp. I'm going to go to the distorted tones, and my favorite distorted tone, one of mine, is to just use this Brownstone from the Tone Collection. I think with this has got the treble boost on there, it's got the nice sort of Fender style amp on there, and if we reach behind and grab my guitar, we should be able to get this recording. Now, I'm using my usual setup. Many of you will know what that is. It's a Steinberg UR22C interface. It's plugged in via the Apple USB-C adapter, and I've used a powered USB hub in between. So I go Steinberg UR22C through a powered USB hub into a USB-C to USB-A converter, and that's my setup. That's what I record with here in GarageBand and now in Logic Pro. So let's set up this guitar to record. We need to firstly hit the tuner. Actually, no, the first thing we need to do is set up to our inputs. So we're going to go to this little input jack. Again, it's kind of why I like GarageBand so much. Everything is right at your fingertips, and it's really easy to get to. We're going to change our input here to input 2, because that's the input channel we've got our guitar plugged into. We're going to turn monitoring on. You'll hear that coming through. We'll leave the noise gate on for now because it'll just stop you from having to hear that ringing sound coming through here. And here's the button that everyone wishes Logic Pro had, the inter-app audio button for effects. But we don't have it, so no bias effects for us. But the good thing is because we're using this and it's recording as an amp sim, we can change it up. We can throw an AUV3 plugin on if we want to switch it to Tone Bridge. We can put it onto a clean track and then throw any other AUV3 plugin over the top, and it's all good to go. So you've got a lot more flexibility, but you don't have your inter-app audio plugins that you can use. So let's just listen back to the original riff so I can remember what I was playing. It was so it's down, 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 down. I think I've got it. And you'll notice that this is what I do. I do this quite often where I'll get my ideas down, leave them in there. I don't need these tracks. These were my like little ideas tracks, but leave them in there for now. Otherwise, you're gonna fall into trouble when you go to try and play it again. You'll be like, what did I play again? So I save the deletion for a bit later. All right, let's select the track here. You can hear it coming through. We'll come over here and we will go to my tuner this time. because you have a tuner right here. And this was one of the things that tripped me up in Logic Pro. You had to actually set the tuner. You had to add it to your track header. I guess they thought that less people would actually need a tuner. Turns out most of us wanted it. Or is that just my community? I think I just got lots of guitar folks in this community that wanted the tuner. All right, we're not going to spend too much time. Good enough for rock and roll. Tap the tuner off. We've got our sound back. So let's record in something rockin', shall we? All right, I think I'm good. Record button. 2, 3, 4. Not quite what I wanted. Let's just make sure that the recording and the tone's right. Yeah, that's cool. All right, let's try this recording again. There's our idea. There's our concept down of the riffs that we kind of want to play here. So it's a little bit different than what we did originally, but that's okay. I've made sure that I'm not clipping my signal here. So even in the loudest parts there, you'll notice that when I first recorded the guitar, the one up here, you had these square tops. Anytime you see those square tops, you're recording it too loud. So you need to back off a little bit. And you can do that with the input gain on your audio interface, if that's something that's happening to you. All right, let's take a listen back to this. So we've got... Right, so that's our sort of first passage there. We'll split that out just so that we can start working through what sections we'll want for this song. Here's the second one. All right, so this is where we're going to have like a chorusy bit. So we'll tap that, we'll select it, and that was a weird kind of slide down, but that's okay. And we'll split that out there. So what I want to do now is we'll make this just a really short song here. So that's where we're going to go to. We'll delete the rest of the drums out there, and then we can tap and put a box over those and delete them out. Let's go back to the start here. So let's go with a wall of guitars sound, shall we? So now that we know our riff, now that we know the beat, we're going to record another guitar. So I'm going to add a different sound this time. So we're going to hit the plus button. We're going to go to another distorted tone. This time, why don't we go more I think there's a Seattle sound. Is that the one? Yeah, the Seattle sound from the original pack. There you go. We've got the blackface amp this time. So why is it not coming through? Well, guess what? We haven't set up our input. This is a problem. This is why I always use input 2 for my guitar and input 1 for my mic. I should just use input 1 for both. But then I'd have to adjust the input gain all the time. So here's our Seattle sound. Which is more of a fuzzy tone because it's using the fuzz machine pedal. And I think as Phoenix said before, there's some pretty good sounds that you get here in GarageBand. So let's record in another take here, see if I can remember the progressions, and let's go from the top. Forgot to go down. Forgot to go down. 2, 3, 4. Completely changed it up there in the small chorus section, so goodness knows if that's going to work. The cool thing here, though, is that we can now shift these left and right and start working on a bit of a wall of sound for our guitar. Let's pan this one left, pan this one right, and take a listen to the sound. I mean, it's not terrible that one just hangs out on the G. We'll go with it for now. We'll enjoy that. Let's find one more tone here for a bit of a lead guitar to add in here. So we're going to add in this time. We're going to go into distorted, but I might actually go into the tones here and find more of a processed tone. So something that's going to have like I always like the double and delay, but I use that all the time. What's the Cold Fusion from the Tone Collection? Let's see what we get with this. A different amp style again. And again, we need to come in here and make this input 2. Turn our monitoring on. Monitor on. Da, 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 We actually probably need more of a crunchy tone than we do a processed tone, don't we? So let's go to the crunchy tones. Let's go with the whole boost. Give us a bit more of that reverb. All right, let's play around with this. We'll hit the record button, have some fun. my favorite show of the week because, yeah, look, I try to give you a bit of information up front. I try to answer questions, but then we just have a bit of a laugh and just play some old school rock and roll. Again, this is why I love GarageBand. In the space of, 20 minutes, you can just create something that's an idea. And it might grow to something, it might not, but it's all good. G'day, Charlie. Hello, John Garcia. Hello, folks talking about the terribleness of the YouTube app. Yeah, for a $1 trillion company, Google, Alphabet, YouTube, you need to fix your life. No, fix your app. Let's just turn off these monitoring. Fix your app because... the way it works for commenting on mobile, like more than 50% of people who watch YouTube watch on mobile, like has been for a long time. I think it's probably up closer to 70 or 80% now. Yet, the mobile experience from a viewing perspective, from a chatting perspective, from the ability to tag users, it's just, like I go to Patreon and I say, open this YouTube video, and part of it's Apple's fault, but it goes, really? And I go, yes. And then it opens it in the web page. And then it's like, oh, you want to open the app? Yes. And then it opens the app. And then I get an inferior experience because I can't chat properly. So, yeah, fix your goddamn life. I'm not going to worry about that. Let's not worry about that for now, and let's play some bass. Because we actually do have some cool bass tones here in GarageBand iOS as well. So we're going to play some bass. So let's hit the plus button. Let's go with our bass amp. Now, a lot of the tones that I'm using here are actually in the additional ones. You can see we've got the bass amp boutique, and there's also the tone collection for your guitars. So if you haven't got either of those, come out here to your sound library. Burp, 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 burp. And unlike all the 808 packs that you probably don't use, the ones that I would suggest you use, oh look, Logic Pro trial. The ones I suggest you use are the tone collection, this one here, tone collection, and the bass amp boutique, which is this one here. The brush drummers are pretty awesome as well. So grab all of those, just go in there, tap them, download them, and then you can use these additional tones, which are pretty cool. Do we have a question there about MP3 conversion, I think, from Philip? Yeah, I'll tag that question. We'll come back to that in a sec, Philip. I think some people are offering you some advice. If it's converting to MP3, I've got a video about it. I'll find the video in a second. Just hang around, and we'll help you with that. What were we doing? We were creating a bass amp. All right, bass amp. Let's come in here. What are we going to use? I think we need like more of a processed bass amp style. What is disappearing delays? This could be interesting. Let's make sure that we've got our input on. And, look at this. You've got monitor off for all tracks. I should use that button more often because I often leave the monitor on for other tracks. So turn it off for everything else and then on for this. Excuse me. I don't think that works for this. I like it. I like the tone, but it's probably not going to work for this one. Maybe we do need more of a distorted bass. Data Punk. I thought it said Daft Punk for a minute there. No. The Golden Fingers, actually. I've used this one before. This is pretty cool. I reckon we need to play this in drop D on the bass. I reckon we need to give it. Don't you reckon? Bit my Sharona, but that's okay. We'll go with it. Let's see if it's going to work here in our jam. It's not in D, it's in E, you moron. Yes, I'm allowed to call myself a moron. Because I'm a bit moronic. Yeah, no, it's in E, not D anyway, so I didn't need to go to drop D. I need to bring it back to the E. Where's Omni Collective Creativity? He would have been able to tell me that already. He'd be like, John, you're an idiot. You're playing in E. All right, let's just play it back and see if we can work this out. Now it's definitely my Sharona. Let's record it. All right, undo that. I realized I was playing with the tuner on, which is why you couldn't hear the bass very loudly and you could not hear the tone. All right, let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because a jam band song has to end with not only a guitar solo, but a bass solo as well? Question mark? I know. All right. That'll do for the bass. A fast song's a good song. I don't know that this week's song will make release, but that's okay. It's an idea. It's a bit of fun. Let's play this back and do a wee bit of mixing, shall we? Just to try and get a bit of a basic mix down for this instrumental part, and then we'll play some vocals, because why not? All right, let's turn up our drums. Get our bass in. Left guitar. Right guitar. Lead guitar. Move lead guitar. Now, what I do want here is, as we sort of mentioned at the start, I did want to put like a few little bars of like a very basic drum beat in here as like a lead in. So let's hit the plus button. This is where GarageBand can be superior, because we can add a section here. We can say we just want it to be, in fact, I just might go 2 bars. We'll go 2 bars and we can slide this up. We can hit the edit button and we can slide this up above and then hit done. And that's going to create a little section at the very front. If we go tap and we go all sections, right here at the front, we've now got this little bit here. And what we were playing around with before with these drummers is what we can change now. So if we tap it, we go edit, we can make this down here. We'll make it follow. We'll make it follow that drum that we created there. And we'll make it really simple. So we'll give it a little bit of this to start with. In fact, we'll have no snare. Nope, not there. We want a snare there. We'll have no snare, so it's just going to be a little like tit, 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 tit. I don't know. I think that's a bit fun. Might need... We'll change the fill, because if you turn the fills up here, it'll just bring it in a little bit more. I'm going to change up the drums in that section there because I think they need something a bit different. So we'll split it out, we'll tap there, and we'll bring it up and make sure that it's following, again, our SoCal kit. Make sure that one's following our SoCal kit. All right, and that one following SoCal kit. Okay, so they're all following along now, so we can have a little slight variation. So I like the first pattern there. Let's change the second pattern to make it up here, and we'll actually change the hi-hat pattern. So it'll change between these two. Okay, this section, let's bring it up on the cymbals. And we'll stop it there. All right, let's see what this sounds like. All right, so we've played around with that a little bit. And what we could do is if we wanted to change up the feel of these, so say in this chorus section, say we wanted to make this a bit different, we could actually change the drum above it to be different. So say we wanted to have a completely different pattern here. Let's just split this out and split it out there. Tap, tap, split. And delete this. So we wanted this one to be a different style. We can just mute out that and bring in here. And what would a good style be for this one? All right, let's just try and find something vaguely that'll be like something like that. All right, I've never done anything quite like that before. Kyle, can you match it? Can you do something like that, Kyle? What's Kyle done that's going to match this one here? Sort of. It hasn't really gone the snare kick, snare kick, snare kick that I asked for, but close enough. Close enough for Let's just end it there. Silliness that we do at the end there. All right, let's come back here. Now, I've noticed that I'm using my fingers rather than using the mouse. So apologies if you're trying to see where I'm tapping and I ain't tapping nowhere that you can see. But that's just the way things roll. All right, what is this song about? For the folks who are here live and who've survived, what is this song about? And should we sing some vocals? I think we should. It's always fun to end with some vocals, except I don't have my mic cable. Where's Ready? Let me find Ready. You should always be ready with a mic cable. I'll have to grab another one. I'll have to grab my Felix the Cat box of tricks with all of my cables and all my everything's in it. Hello, Ricky, by the way. Thanks for being here. Ricky Neal. Ready, where are you? lost my ready. I'm gonna have to use a little boring black and silver XLR cable for a change, and go find my red cable. So the vocals won't go as fast. Fire and smoke. I like that idea, Mark, because it's very kind of fire and smoky kind of vibe. Now I'm going to have to use a very strange microphone. I have to use this this dynamic drum microphone. Reason being that I've had to switch out. My old microphone was starting to crackle, and I've actually, you might have noticed, or you might not have, I'm actually using my AKG D5 dynamic microphone, which has actually sounded pretty good, I must admit. For a $100 microphone instead of a $400 microphone, sounding all right. So let's plug in. I'm just going to plug in this weird little microphone. Fire and smoke. Running down the information superhighway. Oh, I like that, Thomas Christ. I'm going to incorporate both of those. Running down the information superhighway. Oh, God, this feels a little bit wimpy using this little microphone. It does. All right, let's make sure it's working. We're going to add a new track. Plus it. We're going to go to our voice. I think we need to start with a punchy presence with this one because it's going to be a rockin' track. Let's check. Ba, ba, ba. Turn the monitoring on. Check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gonna have to turn up the input gain here. Check, 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 check. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's clipping. Turn it down a bit. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. All right, we're good. So we're gonna record into this one. Hello, hello. Bit of delay. Wah, 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 wah. Bit more ambience. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's record this. So what do we need? We need fire and smoke and run down this information superhighway. All right. Let's see if we can improvise something here. Right. Run down the information superhighway at the speed of light. Gonna have a nice dinner hanging out with you all. Rocking down and feeling alright. I'm gonna buy some NFTs, but they're gonna go up in fire and smoke now. You better run, cause nobody wins unless you're at the very start. All right, we need to just finish off. I had a coughing fit there, so we'll just cut back in. Rolling down the information superhighway. Oh yeah. We need some like really processed vocals on this one, don't we? We need some like lead vocals with some bit of distortion on there. We'll go lead vocals. Which is the one that has the distortion built in? Radio Ready, I think. No, is it Punchy Presence? Pop Overdrive. That's what it is. Pop Overdrive that has the drive built into it, as well as the delay and the ambience. Let's drive this one up. Let's see what we actually recorded here. Oh man, my slide into oh no, I won't say that. You know what I'm going to say. It's going to be very easy for me to get old and a little bit random because I'm already there. Run down the superhighway at the speed of light. Gonna have a nice dinner hanging out with you all. Bit too much rocking down and feeling alright. I'm gonna buy some NFTs, but they're gonna go up in fire and smoke now. Get that reverb and delay on there, hey? You better run, cause nobody wins unless you're at the very start. And down the information superhighway. Oh yeah. One shot, one kill. All right, let's move this one back and this one back, and yeah. Every week I do this show when I'm doing like a song. I'm like, which direction are we going to go this week? I don't know. I know this is live for how do you turn on the time ruler for Logic? All right, we'll jump into that in a jiffy, and we'll do that. I'll answer that question. Hello, Crow on a Wire. Grandmaster Pete? Yeah. All right. Let's... Yeah, I think we're good. I think that's interesting enough for us. We'll delete out everything else here. I won't delete out that drum track because that's the one that we lent on at the start. We'll just delete everything here. But hopefully, if you hadn't used GarageBand much before, you'll now realise that it's a pretty powerful bit of kit. The fact that we can find like different guitar tones, like we have a nice brownstone sound, loud in a Seattle sound, a little bit of a nice lead tone, some bass. But they're gonna go up in fire and smoke now. Yep. I realised I've deleted my drummer. So for those that missed it, the way that we created a drummer that lined up with my... In fact, let's use a different drummer. Let's just see if Anders can have a better crack at this, because he's got a different kit and a slightly different style. So if we grab Anders here, we'll just delete out everything else, and we'll create... We'll create at the front here. Oh, man. Don't highlight you all. Come on, Anders. You can do this, bro. He's like, oh, man, do I have to play drums? Like, that's your job. You're a drummer, bloke. We'll just bring Anders in here. And we'll copy him. Copy, paste. Da, 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 da. Yeah, so what do I call the show? Like, do you think there should be a GarageBand and Logic Pro show now? So we have Logic Pro. And what does it get called? The GarageBand Logic Show. GarageBand Logic Weekly. I don't know. Maybe it's just stays GarageBand. All right, so now we've got Anders. Riding down the information superhighway at the speed of light. Gonna have a nice dinner hanging out with you all. Yeah, okay. I don't mind Anders on there. I like his backwards hat. It's cool. Alrighty. So, yeah, questions. We'll answer a couple more questions before we finish. GBL Weekly. Garage Logic. I like it. Yeah, maybe we could go with that. Customize the control bar. Yeah, so the question here from Thomas. We'll jump over to Logic Pro for this one. And I'm just going to follow Jade's advice instead of trying to remember how to do it myself. And we can demonstrate it. So the question is, how do you turn on the time ruler for Logic? So time ruler is, instead of having your bars and beats up the top here, how do you turn on the time ruler? Customize control bar, display, change position to time. So that's up here, I believe. No, it's over here. That's the track header. It must be. Yeah. There's too many places to change things. Customize, display, and under position, you just want time. Or what does beats and time look like? I've never tried that one. You can have both? It's not showing the time though. Unless it is. No. Why is it not showing it? Customize control bar, display, beats and time. If we go to just time... Oh, wait, that's up here. That's this bit here. On the ruler, though, can we display that? That's a good question. It's a good question, it is. Customize control bar. Time. So your position is going to be... So that's the position. So that's this up here on your control bar. But what can you do down here to change that? Is that anything in your track header? I don't think so. Maybe you can't. Maybe it's another you can't. So have we found two things you can't do here today? You can't seem to save in a whole channel strip preset, and you can't seem to change your view here to have it as... That's very odd. Catch play ahead. Am I missing something? Or is it just not possible? Might just not be possible. I'm going through the manual at the moment, so I'm trying to find all of these things. But yeah, I don't think that's a thing. I don't think it's a thing that's possible. I know. Anyone else got any ideas? Because yeah, it doesn't seem to give you that. Yeah, only the transport. So yeah, can't change the ruler. So your ruler is your beats. So I guess if you were doing spoken word and stuff, you're shit out of luck. I'm sorry. Yeah. Who knows? It might be something that comes in the future. This is the version 1.0. So if it's a feature request, you can actually go and check that out and do it. Because I know a lot of people use, say, GarageBand for podcast recording and the like, and a heap of people use Logic Pro on Mac for podcast recording. The thing is, though, it's not really designed. It's designed to be more musical than it is to be for spoken word. Doesn't mean you can't use it. It just means that it's a little bit clunky. In fact, for GarageBand, because it used to have a time limit, well, it still does, because it has a limit to the number of bars you can have, which used to be 512, and now I think it's 2,000 or something, the number of bars you can have in a section in your overall song. If you're doing spoken word, what I've recommended in the past is just put your tempo down to 40. And that way it'll work for you. Like you can do your spoken word stuff. It'll give you the absolute maximum amount of time to record to. But yeah, short answer for the question around Logic Pro is at this point in time, you cannot change. I'm pretty sure you can on the Mac version. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mac users, but I'm pretty sure that there's an option. But there's a lot more options in the Mac version, and maybe I'll finish on that because I'm having a chat with our friend Patrick over at the GarageBand Guide this week, talking about our experiences with Logic, and he sort of asked me the very basic question: why would people use Logic? Like, what is your community telling you? And the vast majority, like the number one thing that I would say, if I had to say it in one sentence, is GarageBand users who have been frustrated with the limitations in GarageBand are loving it. And Mac Logic users who are used to all of the different things and features and shortcuts and things you can do in Logic for Mac are frustrated with it. Because it's not really for them. It's for people coming from a GarageBand or maybe a Cubasis or an Aurea that are used to a touch interface, or people that have used GarageBand on Mac or even Logic on Mac that don't use a heap of the more detailed features but love the idea of a portable and a touch interface. So I think that's the case. Never tried it. Doubt that it's a thing. Yeah, I don't know. I'll look it up. I'll add that to the collection of things that I'll look up in terms of things, just for my own knowledge, because I know that things like Reaper, but Reaper is a lot better for all types of recording, for video recording, like audio for video. Because if you're using this to record audio for your videos as opposed to music, then yeah, you may want the minutes and seconds as well. And for podcasts and the like, which I know many people would like to do as well. Alrighty, that is going to finish it for this one. Thank you for hanging out again for another weekend of live shows here. We had a great Your Music Live yesterday. If you missed that one out, we had some epic tunes and had a lot of fun on that one. We also had a nice happy hour too. Played some cover songs, some of my favourite cover songs, and the podcast about defining success. I think it was an important one. It's funny. I did a podcast about Logic Pro, and it had about 1,200 people watch and listen to it. I did one about defining success, and about 300 people listened and watched it, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but it is funny that at the moment, because Logic Pro is the new shiny, that anything I put out that has the word Logic Pro in it, there's more people watch. But again, I don't want to beat that dead horse because it is at the point now where a lot of people are moving back to GarageBand. A lot of people are realizing that perhaps Logic Pro is not for them. But for those of you who are still loving it, great. You do you. That's my goal, and my number one thing that I say around here is use whatever you want that's going to help you create, record, and release your best music. Kind of end of. If you want to use the new shiny things and you want to try things, great. If you want to complain about what things don't do, that's fine too. But is it going to help you make more music? Is it going to help you be happier? Aren't they the things that we're all here for? More music, be happier? I don't know. All right, that's going to do it for this one. As we say at the end of each and every show, please be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Keep creating, my friends, and I'll see you next time here on Studio Live today. Bye.